Welcome, bienvenidos. My name is Roxana, and this is Avitiva. Welcome to the new subscribers, and to those who have been here before, thank you for coming back. If you follow me on the other channel, Metamorphosis Rocks, link on top on the information box as well, then you know that I have decided that when I wanted to discuss more quote unquote controversial topics, even some that can be deemed political at times, I would go ahead and post the videos on this channel because this channel is not monetized. Quality is the same, I'm no great artist, but I think this is a safe space for a 50-something-year-old to share her thoughts and get to hear yours as well. Today, this video was inspired by some very recent events. Serena lost the Wimbledon championship to, and I hope I'm saying her name right, Simona Halep. For those of you who are not very familiar with tennis, Wimbledon is what is called a major tournament. It is one of the top honors of the tennis scene. Now, this is Simona's first Wimbledon win. In terms of world rankings, Simona is ranked number 7 and Serena is ranked number 10. At the end of the press conference, a reporter asked a question to Serena. Apparently, Billie Jean King, one of the biggest tennis stars of the day, said something about Serena needing to concentrate on tennis and not focusing so much on equality. Now, we're going to get into what was actually said a little later on this video. Serena's answer, and I'm paraphrasing, was something to the effect of, "The day I stop fighting for equality, for people that look like you and me, it's the day I'm in the grave." Now, not only did I think Serena gave a great answer, but the question bothered me for two reasons. In order to make my point and identify the two issues, we need to go a little back in history to the 1970s. As I mentioned before, Billie Jean King was a big star of the game in her own right. In fact, not only did she create the Women's Tennis Association, she won plenty of titles playing singles, doubles, and mixed doubles for a great part of her career. Born in 1943 and retired in 1984, she was 40 when she retired and had an amazing career. You're seeing some of the highlights on the screen. But the one incident that put Billie Jean in everyone's mind was something called, quote, the Battle of the Sexes, unquote. Now, whether you're a tennis aficionado, were alive and paying attention in 1973, or saw the movie Battle of the Sexes with Emma Stone and Steve Carell, it's important that you see this event not so much for the publicity stunt that it clearly was, but so much more. You see, Robbie Riggs was one of these people that always wanted the spotlight, and he decided to chastise women's tennis to get his 15 minutes of fame. In his eyes, the sport was not to the level of men's tennis, and he was hell-bent on proving that he could beat the top women on the sport. He had played a game on Mother's Day 1973, later dubbed the Mother's Day Massacre, against Margaret Court. Who is she, you wonder? Margaret Court, from Australia, was the first woman ever to win a Grand Slam in 1970. A Grand Slam is when you win all 4 majors in 1 year: the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open. She was a favorite to win against Bobby Riggs, but he beat her mercilessly, setting the stage for his real target, Billie Jean. Now here comes the reason why I'm bringing all this up. 4 months after Mother's Day, on September 1973, Billie Jean mopped the floor with Riggs, proving once and for all that women were just as competent as men in tennis. And this is why I have such a problem with the fact that Billie Jean King was the one who made the comments she made. You see, she was always a champion of women's equality. And so to read the comments she made on 2 separate interviews left a sour taste in my mouth. First comment I found, and I quote, was the following. Quote, "She's got a business, a baby. She's trying to help gender equality, particularly for women of color. Much harder. I would like to see her put everything else aside from that. She's got people working on these things." End quote. Another statement. "This is just a wish I have. It's not fair to her, but I wish she would just make a commitment for the next year and a half to 2 years and just say, I'm going to absolutely devote what's necessary for my tennis so when I look in the mirror when I'm older, that I can go back in my mind and know I gave everything I had and be happy. End quote. She then doubled down on another interview mentioning, quite frankly, if I were Serena, I would give up being a celebrity for a year and a half. We all know that I have a habit of saying some people are guilty of racial insensitivity and others are just racist. So let's start with the fact that a white woman who championed women's equality is commenting on an African American woman who wants to not only finish what King started, but open the gates for African American women tennis players as well. King might not be racist, but the statement is incredibly insensitive to people of color. But let's put that aside for a second and pay attention to the actual statement. She said Serena had a business, a baby, her equality campaign, etc. The moment she added the baby in that statement, it really grinded my gears. Why? Because she then goes on to say, leave everything behind for a year or two and just concentrate on tennis. She added that Serena had people who could handle all that, and to me that implies that it's what nannies and the husband are for. Now, you might know this about me, and it might sound incredibly sexist, but I put my child above everything else, including my career. I also have a bit of a struggle with men who travel all over the world while their wives are raising their children, which is why I don't consider my way of thinking sexist. I don't expect both parents to stay at home, but to me, those first 5 to 6 years are really important, full of milestones, and quite frankly, you shouldn't miss them because before you know it, your kid will be a teenager and will not want to spend any time with you. Now, going back to Billie Jean King's career, I always struggle to find the point when somebody who knows what it's like complains about someone else doing the same. At the time of her big career, Billie Jean had several things going on in both her personal and professional life, and she was developing organizations, fighting for equality, and playing tennis. In other words, the hypocrisy. Having explained the first issue I have with this statement, let's move on to the second. Why is it that women are always tearing other women down? Now, I'm not talking about calling out bad behavior. If King would have been calling attention to Serena's shenanigans, or Serena had made a comment that was insensitive or just plain wrong, I would be the first one to applaud King calling her out. But Serena is a mother, a business owner, an activist, and a tennis player. She's also ranked number 10 in the world, and she just came second on Wimbledon. I don't know about you, but I can't even be a ball girl in tennis, and I actually know how to play. This is not an underachiever by any stretch of the imagination. This woman, Serena, is quite the force to be reckoned with. How many female tennis players currently ranking in the top 50 can say that they have a business, a family, concerns that impact others, and play tennis at the top of their game? So instead of picking on someone who might seem to have potential but squanders it by partying and spending too much time off the tennis court, Billie Jean King decides to pick on the one person that is quite successfully building an empire. I have to wonder, if Serena was a male, would King have an issue with having a life outside of tennis? It's also pretty archaic to speak about a woman as if she can only have a one-track mind, or to pretend like the only way to happiness for a woman that has won plenty of tournaments is by leaving everything behind and just playing tennis. I know I'm the eternal optimist because I want to see women be more supportive of other women, no matter what their life choices are. But I think Billie Jean King's comments are inappropriate when you consider who she's talking about. What do you think? Do you have a problem with the comments Billie Jean King made? Do you think she's right? Do you think Serena is? Leave a comment below and don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It really helps the channel a lot.